Hello, hello, Melanie here. I hope you're all doing well on this Tuesday evening for me, morning for many people. So, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a lovely start to your day. Hi, welcome, welcome. So, I'm just waiting for Lorne to join us. I'm going to be joined today by Lorne Jenkins, who's the CEO and co founder of Mini Money Management, which I'm really excited to introduce him to you and introduce Mini Money Management to you. For those of you who are new, and welcome, lovely to see you. Again, my name is Melanie. Hi, Lorne, you are here. So I'm going to invite Lorne to, there we go. Here we go. Just waiting. Last time the videos were a little bit messed up, so hopefully this time it's fine. There we go, it's fine. Okay.
All right.
Excellent. Let me just reposition myself within this frame. I never know where I'm going
Okay.
to end up in the frame. Ish. Okay. Hi.
Hello. Good
How are
morning, afternoon, morning.
yeah, sorry, good evening from me. I'm just going to plug in because my phone just told me that I'm going to die here.
Okay.
Let me just get plugged in. Oh, okay. I think we're all set up. And good afternoon to you.
I don't even know time. It's 11:30, so it's still morning here.
Morning. All
Yeah.
right. Well, welcome to Founder Chats. I'm really excited to see you again. I know we've only met once, also in a virtual space. I think it was May 27th at our US pitch event. But I absolutely loved what you're doing, as did obviously everyone who voted you top pitcher of the evening. It was really great to learn more about what you're doing, and I'm excited to introduce everyone here to Mini Money Management, to what you're doing, to your story, all the things. So really excited to have you here. Welcome everyone who's joining us. So whether you're joining us live right now, whether you come in halfway through, or you're joining us later on IGTV, we're really excited to have you here. Make sure to say hi, let us know where you're joining us from, ask questions. Essentially, if you haven't been to a founder chat before, it's a 30-minute kind of casual conversation. I do have some questions for Lorne, but we want to create space for you as well. So if you have questions, those who are joining us, please do pass those on, and we will make sure to get to as many as we possibly can. So welcome everyone here today. So in terms of why we do these founder chats, so everyone knows, we launched a survey during COVID times asking how people were doing, entrepreneurs in our ecosystem, and got a whole load of answers that about 67% of our community was not doing great. And a big thing everyone was looking for was increased visibility and a way to tell their story. So Founder Chats was born out of that. And something we always say at Volition is you never know what can come from a conversation. And this is a way for us to extend the conversation to our community. So as I mentioned, Lorne was one of our pitchers at our May 27th US pitch event, and came in as a top voted pitcher from the audience. And so we wanted to invite him on here and talk about what he's doing. So I'm not going to prattle on for too much longer here because I think everyone wants to dive in and hear more about you. So tell us a little bit. Hey, what's that?
Oh, I said okay.
Okay, yes. So do let us know. I'd like to know, as I was mentioning, that your story was incredible, that you told even during your 3-minute pitch. So let us know a little bit about you, a little bit about Mini Money Management, and why you started this.
Yeah. So I grew up in Colorado, moved here when I was about 6. And the story for anybody who doesn't know is that me and my little sister, when I was 8 and she was 5, we asked my mom to go out to eat every single day. And like most parents, she got fed up with it, but she's a little bit over the top. And so she created a household economy. So we had to interview for the position of son and daughter. She called her references and, they had great things to say. And so we ended up getting the job and we got paid, we play dollars every week. And then we had to pay for rent, utilities, transportation. And the big thing was that it was $3 to go out to eat and $1 to stay in. So on the financial literacy side of things, her claim to fame is that by the time we got to, I think maybe the end of the summer, she was like,
Yeah,
"Hey, do you guys want to go?" We're like, "Nah, that's too expensive."
yeah,
Um, and then from like a parenting perspective, because she's tried everything. I mean, yelling, grounding, whatever creative parenting techniques you can think of. But then she started saying, okay, well, give me $1. So our saying that summer was give me $1. So instead of yelling, instead of arguing, I said, hey, look, if you didn't put your dishes away or you didn't clean your room, well, that's a fine. And as a kid, when you can spend that money to go out to eat, you can spend it to go swimming or play video games, you start to think like, okay, instead of me arguing with my sister, maybe I should pick up a few more chores. And
Hmm.
so for parents, it's just a light bulb.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where it started. What was the other question?
Kind of your, well, that was your why and why it started. But what was the journey between that age when you first
Mhm.
kind of conceptualize, aha, this is maybe a really great thing that I'm learning, really great tool I'm learning. How take us through that journey of how you got from there to actually launching money management, and tell us all what it is exactly.
Yeah. So I guess the journey in between, I've made probably three smart financial decisions that have like drastically affected my life. So I was lucky enough that I was able to run track and field on a Division I scholarship, and so I got my whole school paid for.
Right.
But I was deciding between two or three schools, and I made the decision to go to Campbell University, which is in the middle of Bowie's Creek, North Carolina, as opposed to New Mexico or Illinois.
Right. Yeah.
And I was, like I said, it was unbelievable experience. But again, because I had that background, knowing that, I was going to have to pay off those loans, I was like, okay, let me get my undergrad paid for,
Yeah.
which then set me up nicely to then move out to London because I graduated with no student debt. I was
Right.
burnt out of track, but not school. And so I was then able to go get my master's over in the UK. And then I got to travel the world, get my
Yeah.
master's, saw like 10 different countries, 15 cities. Um, and so that was really amazing. And I think that like kind of those two decisions like really set me up for success. And so I
Right.
worked in foreign exchange. So I was a broker for a while.
Okay.
And I mean, I even had coworkers who were making two, three, $400,000, but who had maxed out credit cards
Right.
and who hadn't paid off their student loans. And so financial literacy just isn't taught as a whole. And so I kind of decided to say, instead of making rich people richer, let's try to help people not get in debt in the first place. And I think
Yeah.
it really starts at a very young age. So what Mini Money Management is now is an app for parents and teachers to teach financial literacy through everyday experiences. Um, because you don't need to be an expert to teach your kids about the basics of money, that you can't spend more than you save or more than you earn, and that you should save some, that you should give some to charity and all that. And those are very easy concepts to teach, but we try to do them in everyday experiences. And it's not just for
Mm.
kids, it's everyday experiences for parents and teachers, because we don't want this to be, oh, okay, we just do this for an hour a day and that's your money lesson. Like we just
Right.
want everybody's day to keep going as normal, and then you're
Yeah.
just getting financial literacy lessons as you
Right.
go.
So it becomes more of a habit over time.
Mhm.
Right. Interesting. So how long, when did you first launch mini money management?
So we decided about a year ago, so that would have been August 1st, actually. It's my wife's
Okay.
birthday.
Oh,
To
amazing.
start making money. Yeah. And so we at first we're just doing everything with spreadsheets and just kind of talking to teachers, and they're like, no, like you should make this into an app. We're like,
Yeah.
okay, that should be easy. And I'm not very technical, so making the app was a bit of a headache,
Yeah.
to say the least. But
I bet.
we ended
Yeah.
up so we ended up finishing, which will probably lead into your next question nicely. So our original goal was schools, because a lot of the kids whose parents don't have as much time as my mom had, or again, like if just weren't in the same position that my mom was in,
Yeah.
they're going to be in school. And so I think that they need to learn financial literacy as well.
Yeah.
And so our first thought was, look, let's go to teachers. There's statewide, national financial literacy standards, but they
Yeah.
haven't really come up with curriculum that teachers can teach every day. Same thing as like math and reading and science. It's just a field trip, or you have a speaker come in and talk to you for a day. And so my thought is, okay, let's make this into a classroom management tool,
Right.
because all teachers, even if they don't get tested on financial literacy, they have to do something with classroom management.
Yeah.
Having 20 or 30 screaming 10-year-olds is not the easiest place to be. Um, and so we were piloting with a few schools, and we finally got the app up and running in the middle of March. And if you guys know anything about the middle of March of this year, that's when
Yes.
COVID hit.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
So
Yes. That is my second.
yeah,
That is my
that
next
was
question. Yes. What was that like? What's it like launching in March 2020?
Mm. I was so excited, and we had finally gotten like all of the app done, and we were like pushing like updates out to our teachers regularly, and we were getting a
Yeah.
bunch of great feedback. And they're like, "Hey, everybody's gone." I was like, "Oh, that's not what you want to hear." So I cried for an hour, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
after I wiped my tears up, we decided, okay, well, kids still need to learn financial literacy, but
Yeah.
where are they now? Well,
Yeah.
they're at home. And so we essentially just reworked the app. We took the technology that we had, took about, I say 3 weeks, and we reworked it. So now that we have a school version, we also have a home
Okay.
version.
Yeah.
And so for teachers, it's completely free. And then if you want to do school wide, that's when we charge. And then for parents, it's just $9 a month. And
Okay.
so like our thing is it's going to be cheaper than Netflix to teach your kids about financial literacy. And
I love
so
that.
for parenting, the message for parents, it's a little bit different because the
Yeah.
messaging is more parenting made easy. And that was what took a little bit more time is to figure out what parents wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody realized that being a teacher is a lot harder than it
Yes.
looks quarantine. So
Absolutely. Yes.
but what do parents do every day? They parent. And so, okay, if we can incorporate financial literacy into like a healthier parenting style, now we're talking. So we're helping out parents, we're helping out kids, and hopefully everybody's better off.
I
And
love
so
it.
that was mid-April, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we got the home version mid to late April. And so we've just been rolling with it now.
Yeah. So what's the feedback been so far? How's it looking?
It's been good. It's been so it took us about a month to kind of pilot with a few parents and see like
Yeah.
where the bugs were and where the pain points were. And the biggest thing again that we heard was that they don't really want to teach, but they do want to parent. So we've kind of
Right.
reworked it as a parenting app and
Oh,
like giving
that's
those parenting
fascinating.
tips.
Yes.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything that I ever expected. And of
Yeah.
course, there's like a few like bugs with the app that would make those changes here and
That's
there.
to be
But
expected. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you just
That's
but the biggest
amazing.
thing is okay, yeah,
I mean, so
thank
it's been less than a year and you've
you.
built this thing that's like obviously you really care about and seem to be really proud of, and you launched it during COVID and still were able to pivot it and get some incredible feedback and have your first customers and all of these things. That's amazing. So I want to take pause to congratulate you because that's really
Thank you.
incredible. And where is this your first, are you first time founder?
Yeah, so I went from undergrad to
Yeah,
master's, so for about 6, 7 months, and then
right.
bummed around Europe for a little bit, and then I was like, yeah, let's start a company. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love
now
it.
we're here.
Cool. Yeah, I come from a family of teachers and my sister's a teacher as well. So also like having people realize how hard the teacher's life is really been an interesting journey the past few months. But I'm also curious about looking forward. Something we all often get asked by people in the audience is what is your vision? Like, I mean, you still have the school and you have the parent version. What does it look like, 6 months from now kind of thing? And also, I guess, like, what does it look like 6 months from now in the US? And then also curious about your international kind of lens.
Yeah, so for schools right now, I think schools are just as confused as everybody else.
Yeah,
So I think that we're really trying to build out because our big thing is that we want it to be completely customizable. So we
right.
want it to fit your everyday classroom, your everyday life.
Yeah,
And so for classrooms, we're going back to the drawing board to say, okay, what's it going to look like if kids are in school full time? What's it going to look like if kids are in school part time?
yeah.
And so ideally, we're going to have in the next 6 months an app that you can teach financial literacy regardless of your
What that
circumstance when
looks
it
like.
comes to
Yeah,
school.
right.
And which is anybody's guess at this point. And for parents, so we're making a lot of connections right now with financial literacy, or like with a lot of financial authors, a lot of financial advisors, a lot of banks, a lot of credit unions. And so really starting to get those partnerships established because money is such a personal thing and such an
Yeah,
emotional thing that
of
if I
course.
tell you, hey,
Right.
look, this app is great for you, your instant reaction is going to be, okay, wait, who is this person and why should I trust them when it comes to
Yeah,
money at all?
yeah, yeah,
So
for
we're
sure.
trying to get to the people and places where people have already have that trust when it comes to money. And then they're just saying, okay, look, here's an extra thing to then teach your kids. And so
Okay.
that's kind of our short term goal is just to say, okay, let's get a name for ourselves so that people will say, okay, when you hear mini money management, these are the people who are serious about teaching your kids money. We're not just here to, rip people off. We don't have that kind of that bad money vibe. If
Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I love that. And I think one of the other questions I like to ask is what advice do you have for your peer entrepreneurs? And I'm hearing like building brand trust through creating those partnerships is huge. And I also just like this being your less than first year of being in this, and you've done so much already. I'm curious about like what do you think has helped you get to where you are today with this? What kind of advice would you give to other people who are just starting out? Maybe they're starting out August 1st of 2020 and they're trying to figure out what the next year will look like. What would you impart?
I think that's the biggest thing that I've been trying to do, and I'll let you know if it works, is take breaks and not work myself to death.
Mm,
And I think that it's super hard when it's something that you're very passionate about, and it's very easy to say, okay, I should work 12-hour days and do all this stuff. But I think the thing that I found the most is that what's great about taking breaks is that it gives you time to reflect. And when you're in the middle of it, it feels like you're not getting anything done and it feels like you're spinning your wheels. But
right.
if you look like where I was at this time last year, like to where I'm at right now, I would have never guessed that I would have been here. And I think that taking those breaks really helps you realize, like, okay, like I've actually done a lot. Like I should celebrate my little victories and,
Yeah.
take the small L's on the chin. But I think like, again, I want to build a company where you only have to work 6-hour work days or you only have to work 4 days a week. Because I
Yeah.
think like quality of life is super important. But if I start building the company working 12 hours a day, then that's going to be the company culture from the get-go.
Right. Right.
Now, is it gonna work? Fingers crossed. But at least if I go out, it'll be on my own terms.
Yeah. But I mean, it sounds like it's been working. Have you been taking breaks for the past year, taking care of yourself?
Yes. So I mean, I typically don't work more than I try to say 6 hours. Sometimes it gets up to 7 and 8 because
Yeah.
days get out of hand. But on the most part, I try to take 6-hour days. I'll take half days on Fridays. I really, really try not to work on weekends to just like unplug and unwind.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's me. My mom has a full-time job, but she helps me out when she can, and we've got
Okay.
a developer in
Yeah.
Denver. But I mean, it's everything that needs to get done is going to come through me. And so if
Yeah.
I've got a day where I just feel awful, then that means that the company feels awful. So like,
Absolutely.
I hate the term self-care because I feel like it's been overused, but I really do think you need to like take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about because I experienced burnout in 2017. It's one of the reasons that I moved to Madrid from Vancouver because I was doing like 20-hour days working on a research project. I was not modeling good behavior on this and knew better as well. And learned that I know some people do have that instant reaction to self-care because there's a lot of people talking about it, especially over the last couple of years, and what does that look like? But I think like if you can reframe it to something, reframe those words, use totally different words, whatever works for you, take the intention of self-care and internalize that and like listen to Lauren. I mean, 6 hour a day, that's incredible. I mean, I hope that you tell that story far and wide because that I think would be very empowering to new entrepreneurs and people who are getting into the startup ecosystem and maybe are feeding into that myth around it being a badge of honor to be burnt out, it being a badge of honor to not take holidays. That's what it was when I first joined the startup ecosystem in 2015. So not even that long ago. And people were just like, they would laugh if I said, "Oh, are you taking a break? Are you going on vacation?" They'd laugh. And I'm like, no, like this is not conducive to your health and the health of your company. So I'm so happy to hear you say that, and I hope that everybody listens far and wide to this advice, and also just seeing that it is working for you. I mean, I know you're saying, "Oh, I'll tell you if it works," but I mean, so far it has worked, so that's incredible.
Right.
And how are you going to celebrate year one on August 1st? I mean, it's your mom's birthday, but aside from that,
That's a very good question. I'm thinking, weirdly enough, Top Golf. Like, I just really like Top Golf because
why
it
not?
feels like, I don't know, almost feels like a friendly thing to do. And again, it's like, it's kind of low key, but just to say, like, look, like we made it a year and,
Yeah,
we're not a billion-dollar company yet, but we're alive and we're still doing something that we love to do. So, like, yeah, let's just keep it casual and celebrate
yeah,
and then get back to work.
yeah. I love it. Cool. Okay, before we switch directions a bit, I want to say hello to everyone who's joined us since I last said hello. Do say hi. I saw a few people in the comments were saying hello. So say hello if you have questions for Lauren. Let us know. And if you're watching this later, you can also ask questions and we'll pass them along. So hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Um, so I feel like we have a good grasp of mini money management. and why you started it and what your journey has looked like, and some advice you have for other entrepreneurs, which is great. So, in talking with you earlier via email, you were talking about how you wanted to touch on financial literacy and also talk about the issues surrounding Black Lives Matter and the cultural awakening or uprising or revolution or whatever word people are using. Everyone seems to be talking about this in different ways, but I would love to hear your what you wanted to talk about. I want to create space to talk about what you wanted to share.
Yeah, I think that, and I always go on a rant, so I'll try to keep it
That
short. But I
no,
think
no,
that
please do, please do. It's your space.
that's
Go ahead.
yeah, I think that's my biggest why,
Yeah,
is because I look back and I'm unbelievably blessed and lucky to have been raised the way that I was raised. And for my
right.
parents, again, my dad worked full time so that my mom could stay home with us. My mom
Yeah,
wasn't able to create this game and then teach us financial literacy. And so I was able to literally travel the world because of it. And I think that that's so many opportunities that a lot of people don't get. But if you look at people of color in general, they're the ones who, the biggest thing against them is poverty.
yeah,
Because if you're born into a place where it's difficult for you to get out, or you have to ask for a handout, or you have to work 3, 4, 5 jobs, well, one, you can't have that quality of life. And two, it's almost impossible to move up if you're working 2, 3 minimum wage jobs.
yeah,
So I think that financial literacy is such a big thing to instill. And instead of starting, because there's a reason we didn't start in high school. Like
right.
we could have started in high school, college, and just teach people how to get out of debt or how to take on the least amount of debt. But instead of that, we want to teach kids from the time that they're very, very young.
Yeah,
Because I actually had a teacher who was from Arkansas, and she was telling me, she was like, yeah, she was from a relatively poor area, and she opened up a school store. She did a classroom economy with them, and she said, yeah, like the first week I had my school store, the kids had all their money and they're like, oh, we really want this nice backpack. And she's like, oh, you don't have enough money for it. And so the first thing that they said was, oh, okay, well, we'll get something else. And she said, no way.
mm,
Like, why don't you save up your money and get it
right,
next week?
right.
And these are fourth graders. And it was like a light bulb that flipped. It was like, and it wasn't, nobody fought back. They're like, wait, what? And she was like, yes, save your money and then just buy it next week.
Right.
And it was just nothing that they'd ever been taught before. So if you're from a poor area where your parents are living paycheck to paycheck, you don't
Yeah,
get taught how to save. So
yeah,
then it just becomes a cycle where you do it over and over. And so
yes,
why break the cycle at 25 and 26 when you can break the cycle at 5, 10, even 15? And
yeah,
so I think that that's been the biggest thing. And I think there's a million talking points when you talk about Black Lives Matter, like equality for everybody. I think that there's a million things to say, but I guess my biggest thing to do it is that for me, because again, I was an athlete, talk is cheap. So that was the way I always used to tell people, like, you can say you're going to work hard, you can say
yeah,
you're going to do this, but action is what does things. And so for me, I always was against, like, I'm not going to go to protests, I'm not going to do this. It's not because I don't see the value in it, because I do think that there is an unbelievable amount of power behind it.
yeah,
But one, I'm very emotional, so I'm not the right person to be out there. And two, I'm going to take my time to make a real difference. So in
right.
5, 10 years, when those kids go off to college and they're taking out less student loans or no student loans at all, that's a big difference that we're making. And that's how we get change to actually happen, is that we have to talk about it, but then we actually have to do
Yeah,
something with it.
yes.
And so
Break
I
the
think that
cycles. Sorry.
yeah, no, that was pretty much
That's
it.
that. Yeah. No, I mean like breaking the cycles of intergenerational poverty, and it's
Mhm.
oh yeah, lots to talk about on the systemic side of things. And
Mhm.
I think I appreciate you telling your story, and I also appreciate you talking about like different ways that you can like if you don't want to go to protest, that maybe that isn't the way that you're going to give back. There's other ways that you can do this, or not give back, but um, be a part of this breaking
Mhm.
these systemic barriers, breaking down the pieces that have been in place for hundreds of years. There's different ways that you can do it depending on who you are and what speaks to you. Is this am I paraphrasing correctly here?
And I
Please
think,
take
because I think
over.
the biggest thing is to be genuine. Because I think
Yeah,
the fear that a lot of people of color have right now, Black people in particular, is that this is
yeah,
just a phase. This is just a media
right.
cycle. And I think everything lined up perfectly for this to happen because everybody's stuck at home with COVID. So you
I
have a
know.
lot of time.
Yeah,
You have time to
yeah,
be on social media and be
yeah,
active. But it's what happens when the world opens back up. Is
yeah,
just going to go back under the rug, or we going to have to wait for somebody else to get shot by the police or something to happen? for people to get angry again.
Yeah.
But I think when you have people riled up, so to speak, or you have people who are passionate, I think that if you find something that you genuinely want to do, then that's something that you're going to stick with,
Yeah.
regardless of what the news and the media is showing you. And then that's how real change comes. So for me personally, like this is what I'm going to do, regardless of who's on the news or what's big. And I
Yeah.
think that just if we can keep, I think momentum is a very, very important thing, but it
Absolutely.
shouldn't be, okay, well, we've got all of our Instagram stories, and then 6 months later, we're posting about the next new trend.
Yeah.
Like, no, even if you find something that you help out once a month, do it
Yeah.
because it's genuine, and then something will actually get done. Don't do it because it's fake. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And building those habits. I mean, like talking about building habits around financial literacy, also building habits. Like, I feel like some people will actually have to put in their calendar once a month, like, do this thing. And then it'll start to become a habit. Like, reach out to someone, talk about this, read this thing, be involved in this way, like whatever that looks like. But for us to actually have a reminder, because I feel like things do disappear from our lives so quickly, and we don't take the active step of forcing, and I'm talking to white people specifically here, that we don't take that time to force ourselves to do these things. So if you have to put a reminder in your calendar, put a reminder in your calendar, and it'll eventually it's going to become habit, much like learning financial literacy, I assume. So thank you so much for what's that?
no, I said I hope so.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so too. And I wish that I'd had this when I was young as well, because I didn't. Also wasn't taught financial literacy. Oh, that was a question I had for you. I wanted to know. I know you're based in the U.S., but what is your international lens? Are you already in other markets, or what does that look like?
So we're working on it. I think
Okay.
there's definitely the way that we've built the app is that it's completely customizable. And
Okay.
so hopefully we can then fit it to other cultures, because obviously the
Right.
way that we live here is going to be a lot different to the way that people live in Spain or the way that
Yeah.
people live in China. So I
Yeah.
think that we've hopefully created a platform and at least a base model where people can say, okay, look, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to buy groceries, you have to pay rent, you have to live. And
Yeah.
so if we can at least get those basics out to people, I'm hoping that like culture or borders don't really matter. Obviously, there's
Right.
going to be a few slight changes we're going to have to make, but the model that we're going with is intentionally incredibly simple so that we
Okay.
can get the basics to people and give them at least like a foundation of financial literacy. And
Okay.
then from there, just keep it growing.
Yeah. Okay. So I might see it in Canada one day, soon-ish, hopefully.
That's what we're going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have people from around the world who are watching. So what can we do to support you and Mini Money Management get to all those goals that you've been talking about?
Yeah. So on the school side of things, if you're a teacher, just pick up the app. It's free to use. And we did that intentionally because, again, one, teachers spend way too much money in the first place. And two, we want you guys to have all the tools possible to teach financial literacy.
Okay.
And for parents, give it a shot. So we've got a 10-day free trial. It's great and everybody kind of thinks like, oh, my kids are too young. So my
Yeah.
little sister started when she was 5. And when she was 8, she started babysitting while parents were at home, and my mom got a flat tire, and she was like, oh yeah, I need to pay the tow truck. My mom's like, oh, how much do you need? My sister's like, oh, like I've got $50. Like, what 8-year-old just has $50 sitting around? But because that's
It's
how good she is with
incredible.
money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're really trying to say,
Well,
look,
been
if you
taught
got a
to
kid
be. Yeah.
exactly between
Yeah. It's
5
not,
and 12,
yeah.
yeah,
It's not something that we're born
give it
with,
a
just
shot.
knowing how to work with money. Yeah. I love it. Okay. So if you're a parent, download the app, check it out. There's a free trial. If you're a teacher, check it out as well. And this is specifically in the US, or can people in other countries download it?
You can get it from, yep, wherever. So it's
Anywhere.
actually,
Okay.
so what about, so yeah, you just Google mini money management,
Okay.
and hopefully we're the first thing that comes up. I should check that.
We'll
But yeah,
just say that.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so
Okay.
Chromebooks, you can
So,
use it on any device.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And so what is the best place for people to get in touch with you if they want to connect with you?
So we've got a contact form or just my email. So Lorne at minimoneymanagement.com.
Okay, perfect. And
So
that's Lorne, correct?
yep,
At
not
Mini
many
Money
people get it right.
Management. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So that's how you can get a hold of Lauren. That's how you can interact with Mini Money Management. Everybody go check it out. It's really, really cool. And the last thing, or I have two last things. I know we're coming to the end here. So also, if anyone has any questions, please do let us know. Right now would be the time. But is there anything that we haven't touched on yet that you wanted to bring up here today?
No, I just kind of wanted to say thanks. Like, thank you for doing this, and not just like all the events and everything they do, and like just like I don't know, you don't have to do it, so it means a lot. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you. Thank you for coming to the events. And for, you know, I mean, if we didn't have people coming, we wouldn't be doing them. So I really appreciate that. So something I like to close off on is, what is one thing that brings you joy right now?
Um, how simple life is. So we were all stuck inside, couldn't go anywhere. And I think just being around the neighborhood, like seeing families biking together and me and my
Yeah,
little sisters like playing frisbee in the park, like
yeah,
how life just kind of goes on, and that there's good people, there's good people around, and
there
I've
are
got
good
good people in
people.
my life, and you know, we'll make it through this some way or another.
Okay. I love it. Thank you. That seems like a good place to sign off on. Thank you so much, Lorne, for coming here today and being a part of this. Really appreciate it. And to everyone who joined us, who is watching this later, really appreciate you being here as well. Make sure to say hi, whether we're live or not. And then I'll be back next Tuesday with our next founder chats. So make sure to come back and be a part of that as well. Yeah, thumbs up. Nice to see you all.
Perfect.
Thanks for coming. Bye, Lauren.
Thank you. I see it.
Bye.